you for tuning in to another episode of Woman Witness Podcast, The Stories at the Well. I'm your host, Leah Fortier. Today, I have a very good topic for you. I want to introduce you to my special guest, Nicole Soul. Now, Nicole Soul, she will be talking to us today. She's a performer, a creative entrepreneur, a comedian, and she's known for her unique blend of humor and thought-provoking through storytelling. She is touring her solo show. The evolution will not be televised. I want you all to welcome my special guest today, Nicole Soul.
Hi, ladies. How are you guys? Thank you for having me, Leah.
Thank you for being here, Nicole. Girl, you are out here doing it. I literally could not get off of your social media because I love what you're doing. And I really like the fact that you are getting out here, one, doing it, and two, you are spreading the love, spreading the joy, and spreading how you're doing it, which is amazing. And that's what this platform is all about.
Yes. Well, I love what you're doing here by bringing women together and teaching them how to be authors. Like, I believe our story is what we have, and we can share that in as many ways as we love. So thank you for providing that platform. I'm about to tap in after this also.
Yes. Well, I thank you as well. Nicole, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know I just read just a little bit, but tell us a little bit about who Nicole Soul is.
My name is Nicole Soul. Thanks again for having me, Leah. I'm originally from New Jersey by way of St. Kitts, Nevis, where my father's from. I got dual citizenship in Nevis about 2 years ago because America can be a little unorganized. I've been an artist my whole life, but I got into acting via the Miss Black New Jersey pageant in 2011. I'm not a traditional pageant girl. I'm just competitive. So I competed and I did a monologue for my talent portion and won first runner up at Miss Black USA as well. So I was like, I was studying PR and communications while in undergrad at Rutgers, but I shifted gears and was like, I really love expressing. So I moved to New York and started doing off-Broadway theater and eventually like stand-up classes, improv, and just the journey is so real. It's so real. This has been 10 years in the making. And then I wrote my one-woman show, started really during the pandemic, and then just kind of took my time fostering it over the next year and a half.
Wow, Nicole, I have so many questions.
Sure.
Okay, so I have a lot of friends who are in that pageant life.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you just dip in? And you said you were this is not normally your...
No, not a pageant girl. I was more like a dancer, cheerleader, gymnast. So I was well versed with being in front of audiences and stuff like that. But I had graduated from school in the recession and I was just like, what am I going to do? And I was on Facebook, and interestingly enough, an ad came up for Miss Black New Jersey. And I was like, So I did some research. I was like, I'm going to do it. Like, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
And I just wasn't feeling called to any of the jobs that were available to me post-grad. So I ended up doing the pageant, and it literally changed my life.
Oh, wow. What a phenomenal story, Nicole. I mean, and I think this just kind of highlights to me as well for even young women who are listening, who think like, you know what, this is not my lane. I'm in this job. I have no experience. I'm in this space I shouldn't be in, just even those things that we tell ourselves. And if I hear you correctly, you're saying, you know what, why not?
What's the best that could happen when you do something that, that's outside of your lane? Because then you make it your path. Like pageantry wasn't my path, but I made it my path, and it just opened up other doors for me.
Wow. I love that so much. Oh my goodness. Okay. Talk to me about this woman show. I am an author. I'm a writer, and I am all about telling a story. How did you do this?
The evolution will not be televised. It is a one-woman show set against the backdrop of a beauty pageant, hosted by Arsenio Hall, a conservative host who probes the other contestants with questions about identity and sexuality, Black family, bullying, all types of stuff. And through her question asking, I go into monologues and act out different characters. And to me, it reveals to the audience different aspects of my evolution. So evolving past bullying, evolving past all types of stuff.
Right,
But
right.
it's
Everything
really
that happened in 2020 and
yes, it mirrors my evolution over the past 10 years and through this pageant experience. And yeah, just it was an ode to the pageant as to how I got into the industry as well.
wow. So have you written anything prior to that, a book or a
I
journal?
haven't written a book, but I wrote two film pilots in like 2017. And I'm a chronic journaler. I've been journaling since I was 9. So I try and journal every morning just to like get it out type of thing.
Yes.
This was like my first long form play piece, honestly.
Wow. Well, I know for a fact, and I'm only talking about myself. So I tried this whole writing thing. I had this vision. I was going to write this movie and it was going to be so great. But, then they started telling me you need a script, you need this, you need that. And I had no idea how to do that. Now, did you go to school for this? How did you learn how to just write a script?
I didn't go to school for writing, and I always thought that that was a hindrance for me because I wasn't in it and I didn't grow up in it. I became a performer when I was about 25, but
Uh-huh.
over this process, I linked up with like a friend who did write her one woman show, and she just was like giving me some pointers, and I would just pick a day. I would pick, every day for an hour to like do some writing. The thing that got the gears turning was I set a
Yeah.
date for my show, and I knew that I had to complete
Perform.
the show by then, type of thing. So if you need to put some fire under your booty, just set a date, set a launch date, book the theater, do what you got to do, and then you have no choice.
You
But
have no choice.
you don't. I had a producer who produces solo shows, and she helped me a lot throughout the process with like writing and just really getting it done.
Wow.
I would
So
say hook up with people who know a little bit more than you about what you're doing if you're super new.
right, right. Well, you did that and you're still doing it. I know you says you're touring for this, right? So have you actually did the show already? You've had live shows.
We have. So I did a live show 3 weeks ago in San Francisco, and then I
Okay.
have a
Okay.
show in 3 weeks in Austin, Texas. So right now I'm more so focused on submitting to festivals and doing it that way. I produce a lot of independent events, but I don't want to do that with this show. So I'm just in festivals. I'm in a festival in Austin in April, and then a festival in New Jersey, my hometown, in
Yes.
August. So I'm excited.
Wow. Nicole, that's okay. So I know you said that you've always been in entertainment, right? You've always been acting. Now, did your family have a background in entertainment or?
They don't. But my grandfather was in a band back in the day called the Southern Travelers. So my family would get together, like some people's family would pay spades and stuff. We would have
Yeah.
like full on talent shows where
Oh, I love it.
you can get a cash prize. Like we do that to this day. So we're not in the arts, but we participate in the arts in family settings.
I love that. Okay, all listeners listening right now, listen to this. And I mean, I think it's important, especially for moms and for young people out there who have this talent that you don't really know what to do with it. And let me just say this real quick. I remember even when I was younger, I would always take like little frog and toad books, or I would take some of these books and I would act them out and I would give my brothers and my sister, I'm like, okay, you're going to be the frog and you're going to be toad. Director, you know what I mean? Because I was never in it though. I was a director. But and this is why I say this is what I love so much about our talent. And I think that sometimes, as parents, but I'm a parent, and we look at some of these talents and we say, you know what, I still want, we think of the tradition, we want you to be a doctor, we want you to be a lawyer, we want you to do the things that, was it kind of embedded in us. But I think now, especially now, that it is so important to take these individual talents and help expound them, help put them in the right setting so these little babies and these little minds can really start to grow into who they were created to be. Okay, sorry, I get it. I get very excited about this. Okay. So you talked about your art, and I want to go into this a little bit. You talked about your dual citizenship and your different backgrounds, and I want to talk to you about how your passion of using art can be used for healing and creating your own opportunities. How can we begin to take these our different talents, if you will, and use them to make opportunities for ourselves?
Honestly, that's a great question. I was feeling a little jaded about the industry and not like booking the roles that I wanted to book. And so I
Mm.
said to myself, write your own story. Like you have a story, so tell your own story. And now I have this product that I can tour with, that I can make a workshop with, that I can create events around. And so that's what I intend to do moving forward is to take my show and have a spinoff of a workshop that I can also do alongside it so that I can like continue to cultivate confidence in women and arts in women and arts and culture and just like bring us
Yes.
together. I do that with a few other events. I host like a trivia night for the culture. I've hosted like a volunteer event that I call Sunday Serving, where I gather men and women and we pack care packages for the unhoused in Los Angeles. I partnered with Why We Give Project, a nonprofit here in LA. But I think if you
Oh.
have a vision, it's just really about telling one person who you trust and like building upon that. And that's really all that I did.
Okay, she's being way too humble. She, she
Really.
said, that's
But
it.
also,
That's all
I'm
I
like,
did.
I think about the things that I would want to experience. And then I'm like, okay, I'm not the only one that wants to be around women in a
Yeah.
positive environment doing a vision board. So let's just take
Yes.
that and then invite people. And then I realized like people really need the things that we have in our minds. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, one thing that you said that I really love is that you did not see a space for you. So you created it yourself, which leads right into what we were talking about as far as, you know, taking your own ambition and creating opportunities for yourself. And when you make them for yourself, if I hear you correctly, you make them for others.
you do. And it's so gratifying to just take a lot of the murky things in your life and turn it into art and then watch people laugh at it. Like it's lovely.
Okay. Okay. So you had siblings. How many siblings did you have?
I have two siblings. I have an older brother and I have an older sister. So I'm the youngest.
Okay. All right. All right. So I'm so intrigued this comedy thing and like being able to make people laugh. One is not easy. I'm sorry.
No, it's not.
Really, it's not. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry. Okay. Wait. Wait. Let me go back a little bit. Okay. Can you give us some examples of how women can utilize arts in their own lives to promote healing and personal growth?
Well, you can align with Leah and figure out how to write your book. You can start a blog, you can start a podcast. I feel like there's so many ways for us to share our story and cultivate community around that. It's just a matter of, like I said, starting and picking a platform. It doesn't have to be lights, camera, action. It can be very guerrilla in the beginning and then eventually it will grow. I feel like prior to, I've stopped myself short from a few projects because it wasn't growing as fast as I thought. And so I would also say definitely be patient with yourself and your process in the building of your audience.
I like that so much. Can you talk to us a little bit about you said something to me, girl, and I know you spoke to a lot of our listeners out there that you said that you started it and maybe perhaps you ended it too quickly.
Hmm. Yes.
If that has not been the story of many of our lives, and I can even attest to some of mine, I look
Hmm.
back and I'm like, "Oh, girl, what happened? Why did
Right.
you not doing
Stop.
that?"
And I
Right?
we stop for many reasons. I know personally I have a lot of passion projects. And so I start
Yeah.
off I'm really excited. And then it's like, okay, how can I continue? How is this sustainable? How can
Mm.
I try to like recoup some of the money that I put in this? And now I'm like, there are grants for that. There are resources for you. Before you transition out or give up, ask yourself, have I tried everything?
Everything.
Because there are
Everything.
grants.
Yes, there are grants out there, and I think that is one thing that I have learned, and I am learning. Sometimes we try to take on that financial responsibility and just run it. Okay, so I want to ask you, talk to some of our women. One who do we stop it too soon, and then have you ever had that moment where you're like, "Oh my gosh, I was doing this, and now it's hot,"
Right. Yes.
and you try to dig it up? How do you know when to stop?
I'll tell you that. So
Okay,
I don't know if you guys have heard of a book called The Artist's Way, but it's a book
okay.
that you read over like a 21-week process. Every morning you journal for 1 minute, your first 3 minutes of consciousness. And then you realize over time what you keep complaining about or what you keep hoping for as you go through this Artist's Way process. So I had an online
Mm,
store. I wasn't crazy about it anymore. I was thinking about transitioning into comedy, and I just
yeah,
realized that I kept journaling about like I want to try something else. I want to do
yeah.
something else. So as you get your words down on paper, oftentimes in journaling, it will reveal itself back to you. And then you just have to, pray and affirm that you got it to take it to transition out or take it to the next level. But I would say getting your thoughts down on paper,
Oh,
meditating,
that's good.
clarity, affirmative prayer, all of that.
Oh, that's so good. Because if I can, how often do we go back and read what we write? I don't, unless I'm looking at it and saying, "Ooh, girl, you can make this into a book." Um, but it's true, and you will begin to see the same repetitive things over and over again. It's like, hold on, wait a minute. You're right. Maybe I should stop this.
Yeah, it's like I'm sick of talking about this. I got to do something different.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so how did you stop it? And then one, how do you start it?
How do you start it? A hunch, I feel like.
Oh, Nicole.
Hunches in the shower. I found a notebook that you can put in the shower, y'all.
tell.
I have such great ideas in the shower, and then I get on. I'm like, what was that? I found a notebook that is waterproof. You stick it to your wall, and I just jot down some things and take it.
Wait, for real?
Yes, because I keep forgetting my thoughts in the shower.
Yeah.
That's where my best thoughts come from. And I was like, I need this. So yes, at Walmart.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Okay, it reminds me of, so I decided, and I did not know this, but I begin to write songs. And, have you ever just been like driving in the car, or even in the shower, and you're just singing this song or humming this tune? You're like, oh, this is good.
It's
remember it.
Right. And so you really got to write down your hunches.
You're right.
They happen because sometimes you just won't remember. And that could be your groundbreaking idea right there.
Yes. Okay, that's good. Oh, that is so good. Okay, so this is all really truly inspiring. I want to ask you, I want to move into a little bit about your comedy. How do you use your comedy to challenge the norms and to empower women?
I use comedy to challenge the norms because I think comedy is one of the safest spaces to say war is wrong and it's corny. It's the safest place to say a lot of things that aren't that safe to say in other spaces. Stand-up comedy is so raw. I think it's one of the rawest art forms, and it's just you and an audience. You can just go up there and turn your ish into sun and into laughter. And I use that to challenge myself to dig deeper. Because when I was writing my show, I realized so much crying happened because I'm taking inventory of my whole life and realizing like, this happened and I overcame that. And here we are trying to make this into a funny. But there are things that I was like, I thought I'd never overcome some things, but like, here we are. So it just really allows me to challenge myself, dig deeper. I'm working on my vulnerability. So it's allowed me to be more vulnerable with myself so that I can show up different in my work.
Yeah, I love that so much. And you're absolutely right. My hat goes completely off to comedians because one, you do turn a lot of sensitive subjects and can make them funny. And it's needed though, because sometimes people need to laugh at themselves. Sometimes people even need to take a look and be like, "Ooh, wait a minute."
I need to laugh at myself often. Truly. I'm a double Virgo, so
double Virgo. That's so funny. No, I mean, but you're absolutely right. I think when we kind of take the seriousness out of it, it's easier to look back at and say, we probably should change something about that. You said you have not written a book. You need to.
I have not written a book.
Plant that little seed.
By all the vibes. I cannot wait to tap in.
Plant that little seed.
And you've written 18 books.
Yes. Yeah. I wrote 16 books.
Okay, 16 books.
16 books. But you know what? And I actually stopped because I started to help other women write their books. That's but right. I feel the urge again to start writing. I just got to find time. So speaking of finding time, I want to ask you a couple more questions and then we'll be done. But I do want to ask you about how you overcame your fear in actually getting in front of people, or did you not have a fear at all?
No, I used to have panic attacks on the side of the stage before stand-up because I was so afraid again of being this raw and this vulnerable. You overcome it, I think, just by doing it, like just showing up, and breathing. And again, affirmative prayer. Like, God, I can do this. Like, I'm not pleading to be able to do this. Like, I can do this. I will do this. And so it just took on a different energy once it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not
Who did you
alone.
lean on? Who did you have to lean on in that moment when you're just like, did you have friends, family, people?
People. I would say my partner, he's a creative as well. And so like he just gets it, which I
Yeah.
really love and appreciate. I have a sister cousin who always is just she's like one of my safest places in the world. I just
Oh.
girl. So I just feel like I have a tribe of people who I trust and love, and that just has always been supportive.
Yeah. Yeah, I like what you said, and that really helps. I like what you said. I want to go back to real quick when you said that just getting out there and finding, if we have any creators who are listening, comedians, singers, dancers, and you're looking to just kind of get started on your craft, seek out different programs, right? Or different shows that you can audition. I know that there are a lot of places that even take raw talent, right? I mean, if you have no experience whatsoever, what would you recommend, Nicole?
You'll find your people as you go through the journey doing
Yeah.
open mics. So open mics are our
Okay.
gym where we practice our jokes, and then you have your shows. But if you're on it, you'll meet your people. You'll meet, people that can show you new ways of perfecting your craft or open
Mhm.
doors for you as far as opportunities. But I would just say, like, be the type of person you want to meet. So don't be like an opportunist.
Amen.
Be someone
Yeah.
who also brings something to the table, type of thing.
Yeah. 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 Yes, I love it, love it, love it. Okay, so I want to ask you, and I know I kind of just asked this real quick, but what advice would you give to some women who are aspiring to become an artist? It doesn't mean you have to go on a stage or anything. Let's say you want to be behind the scenes writing. And I know you said that about they can find their tribe, but what are some of the opportunities that they can make to really make that positive impact?
If you want to become an artist, it's probably because you are already an artist. Like Black girls, the way we dress, the way we do our hair, the way we speak, that is all
Mm.
art, right?
Right.
Yes. So if you're
Right.
like, okay, I want to do this particular art form, start small, pick 15 minutes a day and just do that, and then build up your confidence and be consistent in it. And after 3 months, this little drawing will eventually be a painting. So I would just say start small,
Mhm.
find your people and be consistent and block out everything else, because there is so much noise. There's so many apps. There's so many
Oh, yeah.
avenues to get it, but really just try and stay in your own lane truly.
I want to talk to you about overcoming your own limitations. You wrote down on your website, you gave us 3 tools to use to start writing your own show. Can you talk to us about those tools? Don't write impulsive.
So tool number one to me is a deadline.
Okay.
But when I realized I set the deadline, I was just like, this isn't getting done. Like the words were
Yeah.
not wording, y'all. So I use what's called the Pomodoro method to start new writing, which means you
Mhm.
write for 25 minutes and then you take a 5-minute break. It
Uh-huh.
really helps my ADHD mind just break this down into way slower vibes. And I
Yes.
was able to finish my show that way. Otherwise, sitting down to write, it can be tricky.
Yes.
Other also, I would say taking your phone, sometimes you don't want to write, speaking
Yes.
it into your voice notes, that's a great way to write as well. And then if you're doing characters, improvising. So just get into character and start speaking like them into either your Google Notes and it'll transcribe it for you, or into your voice notes.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it was limiting. I was like, this is never gonna get done. But yes, those three things really helped me out.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. All right. That's good. But before you get out of here, I want you to leave some of our listeners with just some positivity. Leave them with a little laughter if you feel like it, but leave us with something that we could take with us throughout the week after listening to this episode.
Well, Leah, I have a question for you actually.
Oh, okay.
An aspiring author, I would say. So, what is your advice for aspiring authors, aspiring first time authors? I want to know.
You know what? Let me tell you, I think my advice for aspiring first time authors would be to just start writing. It sounds easy, right? We can just get on there, we can start writing, but I'm glad you just asked me that. Not only writing, but writing about what you're passionate about. where my stories stem from is I began writing about the change that I wanted to see. I began writing from a place that I've healed from. I wanted to make a positive difference in the lives of women, of children. I wanted children's voices to be heard. And I didn't really find a lot of material out there that really kind of spoke to that. So one day I decided that, you know what, I'm going to write it myself. So for any aspiring authors out there, I think that the best advice that you can give is advice that you've kind of went through, is that you, the advice that you experience. So that is my advice that I would give first time or give aspiring authors, just to write from the heart, write from what you've already experienced in your life. Be a witness.
Plug it in, girl. Plug it in. Plug it in. I'll leave your audience with this. If you're in LA, please follow me on Instagram because I host events that are fun and for the culture. And I'm usually preaching some type of empowerment to women on my social media. So if you do ever need a little pick me up, I'm usually posting something about that on my socials. Nicole Soul on Instagram. Otherwise, thank you so much for having me, Leah.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Nicole.
you.
I wish that I could be in Austin, Texas to see your show, which your show is on, you said it airs April 24th,
What?
2024. Your next show, April 24th, 2024 in
Oh,
Austin,
no,
Texas.
it's on April 5th in Austin.
April
And then I'll have you
5th.
Q4. Stay tuned.
If you're in the Austin area, can they pop by? Where
Yes,
can
and
you
I'll
find
have
tickets?
all of the ticket links in my bio.
Perfect. Sounds good. And when you come back to LA and you tour out here, please let us know. I would love to take a look and catch one of your live shows. So I want to thank you so much, Nicole, for being a guest on the Woman Witness podcast of Stories of the Well. Thank you for coming and pouring and speaking to some of our women who are out there who are just trying to figure it out. Can I do this too? You can. You can. Yes. And I want to thank all my listeners for listening and checking out another episode of Woman Witness Podcast. I will leave Nicole's information in the description below. Follow her on all social medias. And the ladies, perhaps, just maybe, perhaps, you were chosen for such a time as this to write, to tell your story, your truth.